the yeah, that's for Zoom. That one's for Zoom. That one's back.
How did it get out in that hallway? Holy cow.
I'm just sad I missed the cocktail party. Are we all set, Lindsay? All right. I make a motion that we come out of executive session.
I'll second that.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
And I'd like to make a motion to restructure payment on back taxes owed on account number 1402, map and lot 11-118-22, with no interest, no fees for a 38.5 month period at $300 per month.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right. Let's move on to public input. The public in attendance will have up to 5 minutes to address the board. Anybody has anything they'd like to? Oh, at the podium, sorry. Okay.
Brad Nickel, Brock Road. I would like to seek permission from the board to start a GoFundMe page for funding to come through the town hall for a granite bench for Morse to be put over at the library. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Is that something we've got to vote on?
This is public input.
But we'll take that up in new business.
Yeah, you put it on this is public input.
Okay, I was just gonna get out of the way quick.
Nope.
I don't know if
Sorry,
I'm Katrina Randall. I don't know if I'm specifically on the agenda as an item or not.
Oh,
but
you are.
You are.
Here I am. So I live on the Williams Road, and I'm going to read a letter that I wrote to my neighbors. February 21st, dear neighbors, Lisa and Alan, Sue and Jamie, Michelin and Jeff. Stagecoach, also known as Old County Road, has been a problem for me in that Ray Poirier, who owns land at the top, has had the Maine game wardens call me and tell me I cannot ever walk up there again, and was written up for trespassing because one day my husband and I took our golf cart up there last fall. Prior to the game wardens calling me, I saw him at the end of the road and he told me, of course you can go up there anytime. But the game wardens then told me that they knew he had said that, but had changed his mind. And to make matters worse, the game warden said on record I stole Ray's game camera, which I did not do. The issue of the road comes down to a couple of things. First, is it an abandoned road or a discontinued road? This matters as to whether or not the town is obligated to maintain it. And of course, we're not going to. And if it's one of those categories, the town may need to put it into a deed of sorts in the York County Registry. This apparently was discussed by the selectmen, and Moore St. Clair indicated, bless his heart, that it never did happen. So Brenda Carlin and I, our code enforcement officer, now has suggested if this is something that any of us would like to pursue with the selectmen, that we get our names on the agenda. Because I don't have a vested interest, since I don't own land that abuts it. I don't have much to say. Will, of course, go to share whatever I've experienced thus far. I'm wondering if any of you feel free to join me as an observer or a person with questions or issues. Please don't feel you need to. I'm just asking if anyone would like to. Please feel free to call me with thoughts, whatever, blah, blah. And I'm enclosing the statute about abandoned roads for your information. And then I met with George Burgess, who's here, and he's a large landowner up there. And George and he helped me buy my land, actually. And he was able to provide me with 2 letters, and we'll make copies of these so you have it, They were written February 22nd, 1995 by Roger Bergeron, and then September 7th, 1995. And I'll read the last one because it sort of was a summation. Dear Mr. Burgess, please be advised that at the March 14th, 1921 annual town meeting, Article 21, the town of Lyman voted to discontinue Stagecoach Road. If you have any questions, please call. So that's the reason I'm here. He's been a terribly difficult man. What am I asking for? I would like some way for the town to contact this man and tell him he cannot threaten me to walk up a road I've walked since 1990. He doesn't own it. A Mr. Kimball owns portions of it theoretically. He's given me permission. Mr. Burgess has given me a letter now that I can provide that says I have his permission to walk on his portion of the road, which is it. George and I have talked a lot about it. Does he own the whole road? I don't know. And that would be a long day to discuss right now, but he's given me permission to walk on every part of it that he has abutting land to. And that's why I'm here. Any questions?
So we slid off of public input and we went into an agenda item.
I'm sorry, that's
No,
why
no,
I questioned.
Okay, that's okay.
No.
I'm just making it clear with the board. So if I may ask a question,
Oh, sure.
Brenda, do you have any input on this?
I just got off the phone with, I believe it's the 5th road in this town with that very same situation. And the problem being, Maddox Farm Road, Pig Farm Road, County Road, there's buildable land up there that the town is taxing. From what I understand, worst case scenario, you can't abandon a road anymore, I don't believe. I think you can discontinue the road, which means that you're not going to do any maintenance on it anymore. It's still a road.
It's still a public right of way.
It's still a public easement. Now, the question is, does the land from the center of the road back revert to the abutters?
That's the 1965 law.
And
There's a
what
whole bunch of
happens-
these statutes that we keep finding all of a sudden just changed again.
And what happens if those abutters don't go and claim that land, actually amend their deed to include that land? It's still technically the town's, whether you maintain it or you don't. I've been wrestling with this. If someone comes in to pull a building permit on one of those lots, the maps that were voted by the town of Lyman has that road on that map. I believe I'm obligated to permit a building up there. Now, presently, the County Road, I'm getting Stagecoach and County because they run in together. County Road has been improved considerably by someone. Brad and I don't know who would say.
Mr. Poirier, he'll tell you.
Okay, so he's got it blocked off. Maddox Road has been blocked off. I don't know about any others.
You've got one road subject to gate and byways that's been a bone of contention for a long time.
But there was a vote from the town to discontinue.
Right,
Some of these roads, there's nothing.
And I
Right.
believe what that means is discontinue maintenance on them.
right.
Right.
But if a taxpayer comes in and wants to build on one of those lots, I do not believe that I have the authority to deny a permit on that.
So the only question I have is that there's prior to 1965, and then there's after 1965. So if we're talking 1929, obviously before 65, what does that statute say?
I believe prior to 1965. it's
Oh, we have it here. I have it here.
And-
Draw it.
There's a difference between discontinue and abandon. I
Do you want
think,
me to read what I have?
Please.
No, this is from Maine Municipal Association 2009. public easement, legal status of a discontinued road, sorry, I'm not up there. Discontinuance before September 3, 1965. A discontinuance which occurred before September 3rd, 1965, left no public easement, and case law dictated that ownership of the way reverted to the abutters on each side to the center line of the road. The abutters may legally bar the public from using the road in this situation. However, there's, of course, an exception to this rule. A public easement is retained in a pre-1965 discontinuance if the article, in parentheses, order authorizing the discontinuance specifically provided for the retention of one. And then they have the discontinuance occurring after September 3rd.
So you wouldn't happen to have a copy of that from the town, would you? How it was written? Probably not.
I haven't a clue,
Somebody will have to
because
look at
this
that.
is what we understand is it may have been done and Morris knew about it, but I don't have it.
What Morris said to me specifically for that road, because he started out in 1995 at the town meeting, that was voted. However, the town failed to notify the property owners what had happened. So the property owners never claimed that lien, is what Morris said.
I thought that was old Kenny Buck.
Oh, I have another
I believe
piece here.
I believe that's.
Sorry, Brenda.
Yeah, I believe that's county.
Um,
But there was a vote by the town in 29.
1921, right?
21, sorry.
And then Roger Bergeron said, originally, there's a portion of Howard Road from Charles Howard to the intersection with the Williams Road, which is cuckoo because it doesn't, has been abandoned because this road has not been maintained at public expense for 30 more years. This was in 1995.
Yeah, that does exist. That does go all the way through.
Right, but Howard Road doesn't intersect Williams Road.
Yeah.
Howard Road becomes either Stagecoach or
Okay.
Grant Hill
Yeah,
Road.
and then it goes, yeah.
We are under the presumption that the 30-year statutory period of abandonment ran from 1950 to 1980. We are certain that no work has been performed by the town on this portion, I hope that's not my phone, of the road between 1960 and 1990, another 30-year period. An abandonment occurring on or after September 3rd, 1965 terminates the town's maintenance obligation, but a public easement is automatically retained. That is, the abutters cannot legally bar the public use of the road. In 1977, the abandonment law was amended to provide that the public easement retained after the abandonment also includes an easement for public utilities necessary to provide service. In determining when an abandonment occurs, look at the end point, not the starting point of the statutory 30-year period. Therefore, because the date of the abandonment occurred after 1977, both a public easement and a utility easement remain along this portion of the Howard Road. If you have any questions, and these were to George Burgess, not to me.
So I recommend that we really, we're gonna have to table it until we get the language of the 1921 vote. I don't see how you can move forward without starting at the root.
Agree.
So I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Any discussion?
Discussion? All in favor?
And as much as I enjoy being here, I'm going to go in.
Thank you. It's all right.
I mean, I would typically stay, but, and I will get all copies of this to you.
Thanks, Katrina.
Thank you.
Karen Kane, Pines Lane. Based on conversations that have been happening around issues and opportunities at Bunganut, I want to propose to the board that we form a committee similar to what we have for Kennebunk Pond Beach to help move improvements forward. The committee, as I see it, would work with, Tom and Rusty as liaisons for the fields and the beach side. And as I see it, there's a lot of moving parts to this. Short term, I think we need to get really a better understanding of what's happening with the Sanford Y. You know, what are they contributing? What is the fee structure? How is it meeting the needs of the town? And then ARPA funding for RFPs and all of that needs to go out to bid. Longer term, and this one may be short or long term, but I think the town needs to develop a plan to break even, at least on that property, so that we're not paying over $80,000 a year, which is a tax burden. And then longer term, consider what else Bunganut can offer the town to better serve the townspeople. You know, how do we get more activities there year round for families, both kids and adults, whether it's an improved trail system or a community center or other activities, you know, and I don't know what that is, but I think that's, you know, some of the talk that a committee could address. And then as part of any improvement activity, I would see that this committee would be charted with making it self-sustaining, so we're not creating a tax burden for the town. The committee could also research grants. So I think a committee of this type could take some of the burden off of you, because I know you're all busy. And I think you think the Kennebunk Pond Beach Committee was pretty successful, and you know, hopefully you would endorse this proposal. But I see Bunganut as a gold mine. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I personally would be interested in being on such a committee, and I have a couple of other people who have also told me they're very interested in being on such a committee should you give it a green light. So thank you for your consideration.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add to that, it I think is fantastic, it's just me, is involved in Park and Rec.
Absolutely.
Along with everything you're doing. 'Cause
Absolutely.
they're a great resource.
Yeah, that I forgot to say it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's what I was I did the walkthrough there a couple of weeks ago, and, you know, to say it's a diamond in the rough is an understatement. And I've lived here most of my adult life, and I had never walked that entire property. And just an incredible piece of property that we're not doing much with and abusing it, actually, to be honest with you. And you know, we talked about Holly, you know, and she's had great ideas and has not had the support in the past. And we had talked about a committee and tying in Parks and Rec very closely with it and make that something down there. So you're spot on. And I see Holly in the back. So it's the best idea I've heard. So I support it. I want to be on the committee.
Yeah, and I think that's part of our workshop tomorrow to start that
Yep.
conversation too, because Michelle's brought it up a few times as well.
I'll make a motion to form up to a 5-person committee with Tom as beach liaison, Rusty as field liaison, which we already voted on in that. And yes.
Can I just say, I don't know if you want to limit it to the number of people, but this is a lot bigger than
Then
Kennebunk
then
Pond.
take out the number.
Yeah, you might
That's
have
fine.
subcommittees
Sure.
actually for this one.
Sure.
Would
Take out the number.
Holly be willing to lead?
Maybe.
That's put
I
it on the
guess it
spot.
depends what we're talking about. How much?
Well, I think the formation of one, we can either agree or. So
Yeah.
that's my motion,
I'll second that.
minus the 5-person.
You'd be involved one way or
I
another.
definitely want to be
Yeah.
involved with the activity part.
So there you go. That's close
We
enough.
already
right?
have Boy Scouts who are going to do trails for us and then label them for an Eagle Scout project over there.
Yes.
So it's a start.
So that was
Second.
Was second.
I did.
He seconded.
Oh, discussion,
We were
everybody?
discussing.
all in favor?
Good.
Any other?
Awesome.
I think we need to have a meeting to figure out some logistics and then form the committee.
Yeah.
I also think you need to slip back to public input.
Yeah, I do too. I was gonna do that, but it didn't work out. All right, yep, Tom?
John Hernan, planning board. Another thing.
Thanks, Karen.
I just want to make sure that the
Select Board got the letter that the planning board sent dated March 16th. It's about a proposed revision to the Town of Lyman zoning ordinance. If you're going to discuss it, hold off my comments until that time, if that's appropriate. If I can give them to you now.
It's on,
We got it.
Yeah, we-
Okay. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. It's not my call, obviously. And also, Joe Wagner from the planning board is here. Oh, and Bill Single, I'm sorry. That's right. And
He snuck in.
everybody's here, almost everybody. We almost have a quorum. We do, actually.
Are we ready? I'll make a motion. Or do you want me-
No, maybe we'll deal with it.
we're just gonna keep going. We have a long agenda.
I make a motion, we take item number 6, letter D, out of order.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, this is,
Okay. Aye.
this is pretty simple. This is the same amendment, zoning ordinance amendment. It's to Article 1.8, which is contract zoning. And this is one we proposed, the planning board proposed earlier. And it was, unfortunately, didn't go to the ballot in November. The new charter won't allow any changes until November of '24, the way it's written right now. The way it is written, not making a difference. That starting July 1st. So this is basically the same wording that we wanted to put on the ballot in November, and it didn't make it there. So, and I would also like to point out, really the big part of this is there's 4 words in there that are not in accordance with state law. Those 4 words are "but not limited to," when it talks about areas under contract zoning. The state law, which I didn't attach a copy, but it's 30A 4352 Part 8, which talks about conditional and contract zoning. In any case, the words "but not limited to," unfortunately, in my opinion, means you can have anything. It opens up the contract can be signed with any landowner. Remember, the contract only goes with the current landowner. If they sell it, they got to come back and get a new contract. But the way it's written now, you can come up with any use that the town doesn't allow. You could come up with a use that the town allows nowhere in the town by the zoning ordinance. And that could be presumably put into a contract. And so the state law doesn't have those words in there. Again, if you read that, it doesn't have that. So we're trying to get that out of there. And then also, one of the items, there's 4 items, there were 4 items, and there's still 4 items that the planning board has to base its recommendations on. The first one is for land with an unusual nature or location. The planning board, in my opinion, found that to be very, very subjective when you're talking about unusual nature or location. So we want to eliminate that. And then we want to add a 4th item, which is provides reasonable expectations of an overall benefit to the town as a whole. And this is the same wording that the select board approved once and then did not put on the ballot. So this is our last chance to get it in. You can say, well, you could wait till November of '24. Well, we could. There's no question. We'd have to, actually, unless something changes. But I think that would be a mistake because it isn't in accordance with state law, number one. Number two, it's too open-ended and could allow someone to apply for a contract for something that is not allowed anywhere in town under any ordinance, any zoning ordinance. So that's the 2 cents of that. So I hope you'll consider it. And also, the planning board voted to ask that this go to town meeting floor, not as a secret ballot article, because we felt that there would be an opportunity to explain it better on town meeting floor than just to put it on the secret ballot and let people vote yes or no. That way more people could understand, hopefully understand, what the ramifications are of the current wording. So I don't know if you have any questions on that, but it's pretty straightforward in my opinion, but I hope we're not trying to pull a fast one, but we're trying to get it done because this is our one opportunity to do this. before November of '24. And it's pretty serious, I think. So otherwise we wouldn't be fooling with it. Not fooling with it, wouldn't be considering it. So,
Well, my effort to understand this, when we had the whole dilemma when we didn't pass it the last time, and I took an opportunity to try to understand contract zoning because I'm not in that business. And I asked, how many people have come up for contract zoning? And what was
three.
And one of them was Funky Bow Brewery. Okay, and the way I understand it, I've asked several people within here, within the town hall. The way I understand it, the way the story goes, is that it was residential and it was commercial, and because of the contract zoning, that wording, it allowed for the Funky Bow to get a permit. Is that correct?
Correct.
So if you
Pretty much
change,
correct.
if you change that wording to the way you want to,
Yeah.
would that happen again if Funky Bow
Good.
came under the same?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the brewery is allowed in other zones.
Right.
It's in, let's say, in the general purpose zone or the commercial zone. I haven't had my land use tables in front of me, but it's allowed in another zone in the town. If it were not allowed, you wouldn't be able to do it.
And the other thing with Funky Bow was the piece of land he owned, the dividing line of the zones cut through his property. So if the brewery had been moved 100 feet that way, it would have been fine. But that was the bone of contention, was where the zoning line landed.
Those aren't the answers that I was given.
Well, and again, I would, whether this is a good way to say it or not, but Funky Bow was already in existence. And it was a going concern. There was no desire from the planning board's point of view to put Funky Bow out of business. But contract zoning allowed Funky Bow to become legally, to pass, to be in accordance with Lyman zoning ordinances.
My point on it, regardless of that,
Yeah.
all that information is, Funky Bow was put Lyman on the map. And the answer that I received from my question was no, he would not have been able to do that.
Oh, well, that was incorrect.
So if that is incorrect, then I got a little dilemma there of misinformation. But I don't want to, I don't want to stop progress
We're not.
because of a wiggle room type word as you.
No, if you want to take maybe an egregious example, if you want to have an adult entertainment club in the center of town here, in theory, you could get a contract for that, even though it's not allowed in the town anywhere. If somebody would, if the planning board said, oh, yeah, this is good, and the select board agreed and signed a contract. But I don't think that's appropriate, but I think you shouldn't allow a contract for anybody if it's not allowed somewhere in the town in some zone. This gives a flexibility. Funky Bow is a good example. I think the other one was On the Hill Brewing, which hasn't gotten operational yet. That's over on Hill Road. And I believe R&R Oil.
Yeah.
So, these words are just, there's a big loophole there, which we really need to get rid of. And I'm sorry that I was on the planning board when this was proposed and it was passed. So I have to take responsibility for not being smarter. But of course, that happens quite a bit. So
The other thing we looked at with contract zoning when we did it was, say we made a mistake. Let's say with Funky Bow, he's been an incredible citizen. No issues, no problems. Let's say it had gone the other way. That contract dies with him. So if he had been irresponsible, gone bankrupt, whatever, he was going to sell it, we say, no, we're not going to renew this contract. So that was kind of the safety valve we were looking at the time.
anyway, so I don't want to belabor the issue.
My issue, Don, and.
I know, we had a few comments on that.
So we did this for 10, 11 months. And I know you and I probably won't agree, but we respectfully disagree. At this point, I put forward that the planning board do the ordinance review. And you kind of scoffed at it. at a couple of meetings.
Hmm.
But then you did ordinance review for months thereafter. We sat in ORC, there was a big uproar, we sat in ORC. We have a procedure in place from the new charter. I think you should just let the process go. I understand you had a public hearing. Nobody showed or nobody commented, and that's the exact reason why I fought so hard to put that procedure in place so that more people do understand what's going on and how this works. As for the adult entertainment, there was 4 applications put in. A brewery that now does cannabis,
Mm-hmm.
that has a contract.
And that also is a separate
Yep.
one.
It's a contract. The oil company in residential, that has a contract. A winery or another brewery that has a contract. An application came before you where it was trying to do residential units in a residential zone, and it got shot down 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
So the adult entertainment, I don't think really works here, because if you can shoot down a residential project in a residential zone, you certainly can shoot down an adult entertainment. That's
Correct.
That's my, I think we should let the ORC do their job, let the public get informed. 75 signatures, people talking about it, it's gonna take a year. I think that's the right way to go.
Well, the only comment I would make is that as far as we're talking about Cousin School project there was a density issue, and the proposed density for that project was higher than any density allowed in town, including mobile homes. And that was one of the reasons that I believe the planning board didn't recommend it. Plus, there was strong, very strong opposition from townspeople on that, which was a factor. So, I mean, but each project would be considered separately, but I still would just go back here and saying, our ordinance as written does not comply, and I would refer you to the state law to read that. It's pretty clear. It's not, those words are not in there. I don't think they should be in our ordinance. And this is a chance to give the townspeople a chance to vote to remove at least those 4 words. And the other, have that, clarified, basically. So we're not trying to stop contracting. I think it's a good concept, but to have it comply with state law and also to make it, to clarify. So, and this is our last chance. You say, okay, we'll wait till November 24. Okay, fine. I mean, if that's the way it's going to go, if the select board doesn't want to put it on the ballot, I guess that's up to you. But I think you ought to strongly consider doing that, because I think it would give the townspeople a chance to correct an error that could in fact be a problem in the future. So that's my 2 cents.
I don't mean to delay the subject or keep kicking it here.
Yeah.
But we do have town rule,
Mhm.
We have that. So
Mhm.
the state wording, I understand, is a guideline. I don't think it's a prison sentence. I think, well, we can ask town council that.
Well,
So
we can be town can be more restrictive. The town should not be less restrictive than state law. I think you'll find that if you look into it under
I
MMA
don't
or
know if
anything else.
that's more restrictive. I think that
It
gives
is.
you a sidestep.
Okay, I don't want,
However, that wasn't my point.
Yeah.
My point, again, is let the ordinance review committee do their job. You're talking about taking it to town meeting with 40 people there. That's what you're talking.
again, we tried to take it to the vote in November when there would have been a heck of a lot more people there.
I understand.
And you can understand my frustration here, maybe not.
Sure.
but I don't want to belabor it.
I
Maybe
hope-
Joe's got something to say.
Come on up, Joe, please.
Part of the concern is a proposal being presented to us that is not allowed in town. But with those words, but not limited to, the applicant can press the point, maybe in terms of litigation as well. Like, it says here that, let's say, for example, maybe not adult entertainment, but maybe marijuana social club. Okay, now, from what I recall, the town explicitly said no to that, right? But some applicant comes in and says, well, it's your, the language here is not limited to, therefore they press the point. And we're up against the, back against the wall in terms of trying to address that. If we say no, they've got legal basis for challenging that. And the other point that we're proposing here too is, again, language that the select board came up with, provides a reasonable expectation of an overall benefit to the town. Doesn't have to be financial, but the town gets some sort of benefit from the unusual or out of the ordinary proposal that's presented to us. That's why we're presenting it here. And again, in terms of suggesting that it goes to town meeting and warrant, again, we acknowledge that the numbers will be smaller, but it does provide the opportunity, as we have here, to explain the rationale behind it. You just plug it into a referendum. I think there'll be more questions and an inclination to either not vote at all on that, I don't understand it, pass, or not, as opposed to hearing why you were suggesting it. So.
Thank you.
Thank you for your rational explanation.
What about that?
The only thing else I would say, there's no public comment, maybe it isn't, but when you get to the comprehensive plan committee, I've got some comments when you get to that point, if you get to that point.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for your listening, I think.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Any other public input?
That was item D. We just did item
No,
D
so-
under numbers.
But we're, I guess we're out of public. All right.
I need to know if you put that on the warrant, it doesn't have to be tonight. But if you're gonna decide to go ballot route, I have until the 14th.
I'm sorry. Did you say you need to know tonight or you don't need to know tonight?
Don't.
To
No,
put
I
it
don't
on,
need to know tonight.
By the
so if
14th.
you like think about it or something, but I will be working on the warrant, like, once we get budgets kind of wrapped up and stuff, I'll be starting to put together the warrant. I'll probably need to know by May, what it is, so we can get it together and just go back it.
Okay. Thanks, Lance. Let's move on to item 3, review and approve meeting minutes from 3/6/2023.
Can I just pause for a minute? Can we put that on our April 3rd agenda? So that we can be ready to either make a motion, not make a motion, so we all know what's
Good go.
gonna happen with it. Is everybody good with that?
That's good.
So we're all over the agenda today.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I threw us out of order. It's my fault. I'll take it.
Yeah, there was nothing in there. In the mail or complaint, so that's a good.
So it really wasn't a skip.
Right. Thanks.
It was called efficiency, Brad.
All right, so, meeting minutes for 3/6/2023. Tom,
I just have a small correction.
you were absent. huh?
Yeah.
Where are we, kid?
On page 4, I stated that if we don't determine a fee structure or no fee structure, then it will be difficult for these teams to put a fall program together. Sorry, I meant a spring program.
That's
Fall
right.
program has plenty of time.
But did you say fall?
I said fall.
So I think we can keep the minutes the
Correct.
same, right?
I just want to let you know.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to clarify.
I'm like, hold on. So that'll be reflected in this meeting's minutes, Dave.
Okay.
So do we have a motion to accept?
If- I motion that we accept the minutes.
Good catch. Oh, you can't. Yeah. It's either you two.
I'll second.
Any discussion? No, all in favor? All right, then we're moving on. All right, item number 4, payroll warrant number 41 in the amount of $27,177.74. That's a lot of warrants.
Make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right, next up, accounts payable warrant number 40 for year end 2023 in the amount of $64,664.62. Can't see anything in
Make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
there. Any discussion? All in favor? Sweet. All right, moving on to item 5, unfinished business. Annual town report dedication. Anybody have any thoughts I'd like to join in? I'm assuming this is from
This is
just
some ideas.
individual.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
some-
original poll, that's what we got from feedback, and it was tabled from the last
Yep.
meeting. How's you?
It's totally me. I like to table things. quick.
Yeah, I mean, I have, I mean, if we're picking from this list, I have one that I really
Me too.
would like to, would you like to share your 2 cents?
I'm a cemetery, committee,
Did you?
Sorry, before we said it.
That's where my vote was going.
that's what mine-
I thought out of all of these,
I mean, I didn't
They-
circle
You
it,
did
but
too.
no, I did not circle it.
But I did.
they,
Didn't know we were
they
winning a prize.
put a big task in front of them and they are deep into doing a great job. I know there's been some PO issues in the past, but I really think that they've really done a really great job. A really good job. And that's,
Is this, so it sounds like we can make a motion.
well, I can't, I just gave my 2 cents
I would
worth.
make a motion that we dedicate to the cemetery committee.
Second. Oops, sorry.
No, it's okay. I didn't circle it. I lost the sheet.
Any discussion, any thoughts? No,
Wait a
I think
minute.
it's,
John?
I was thinking a different direction, but I'm just kind of rethinking.
I think I know what you're thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, you are.
Is this the proper place to talk about it right now, though? I know.
You know what
Just
I'm
because of
thinking.
timing, yeah. Just because of time.
I know you're thinking too, John. I think.
We had a similar situation.
I mean, it's already happened.
Yep, we had,
I'm thinking a page of
Yeah.
dedication.
yeah, we had a similar situation. I don't know, my time runs, okay, a handful of years ago. Saying it without, he was a longtime farmer in town on Old North Berwick Road. I don't know if that rings any bells. But former selectman, and same identical situation. So, I mean, I'm not, ain't a hill I'm gonna die on.
I just want us to be unanimous, that's all. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. I'll go where the majority goes on this.
Can I just get who seconded?
We did.
Tom,
So,
We throw a vote?
All in favor?
All in favor? All right. Okay. Now we got that one. All right. There's no B. All right, so opera funding, discuss RFPs and where we are at. Tom, you weren't here. You got thrown under the bus. Did you aware of that?
Nope,
No,
wasn't
no,
aware
we-
of that. No. I felt it.
Did you? Okay.
What did I do?
We've all just, we're gonna do all the RFPs for everything ARPA.
Hmm?
You, congratulations, got the lakeside. I got the ball side.
Oh,
Dave's still doing what he has. And Jessica's our
No, who we threw under the
support
bus
team.
was Brad.
Brad?
Yeah, Tom knew what he was gonna do, but Brad. got
Oh,
thrown
Brad's,
under the bus.
that's right, Brad's
No,
the
Brad
transfer
knew.
station. Brad
You
knew.
knew you knew you were working on
Maybe my hearing.
the transfer station RFPs.
Yeah, I have a rough.
Yeah,
already drawn
he
up.
knew.
Oh.
That's all.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't throw him far.
Yep,
Just a low
that was
gear.
just, so that
Oh,
was
okay,
it.
great.
Just, we
Let's
just
do
making
it.
sure we're all on the same
all right,
page.
let's do it.
All right. All right.
Put that on there as a
Yeah,
reminder.
just as a, yeah, kick in the butt. Let's go.
I don't know, especially with like Bungana and stuff, like how soon you wanna get those RFPs out?
Soon.
You're doing them all together, and then when you get everybody all
We gotta do it.
Yeah.
There
Okay.
was something to do.
It's that sneaky Erlen Farm.
Mm-mm.
Damn, there's
Okay, so it's,
Wait,
so with that PO, if we can take something out of order, if you don't mind. I'd like to make a motion, take item 7, letter I, approve the PO for Kennybunk Beach Committee quote for architect services.
Where is it?
It is,
It's in here. It's in here.
it is basically to complete the RFP that is within their budget. So it's part of the funding they have already received.
That motion?
That was the motion.
That's the motion. Get a second.
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
Like, is this out of the $10,000
Yep.
This is out of the money that we approved.
from the budget?
Oh,
Hold
Alright,
on, we
so-
have to approve the motion and take it out of order.
Oh, we have, oh, shoot, sorry.
There's a motion to move
so
item 7.
there's that one. All right, so we second. All in favor on taking it out of order? There we go. Dave had the message up here.
Okay.
All right. Now we need the motion
Now we need the
to
motion
approve PO.
to approve the PO for the Kennybunk Palm Beach Committee quote for architectural services.
Okay. Now we need a second.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All right, John second. Any discussion?
I already asked my question. It was answered.
All in favor?
I did.
And John seconded.
Sorry about that, but it wiped out 2 things at once.
Okay. Okay.
Sure.
We designate a deadline for when these RFPs need to go out so that it doesn't keep
Oh, no, did it?
rolling forward.
I believe we have a deadline for them to be in. We didn't say 30 days?
Well, wait a
I mean, we
minute.
talked-
For us
We
to
said
make the
how-
RFPs or
make
for
the
them to
RFPs,
release?
to have
Okay.
them all ready to go
Oh,
out.
no.
We have
I don't know if
30
we had a
days.
date.
I
We
think
did
we,
it, hold on, we did an IT RFP that we put out for 30 days, and we did the architect engineer for the town hall survey.
Yep.
For like 3 weeks. But for these things, we didn't come up with a deadline that I'm aware of.
no time.
Not for us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we could pick a date.
So that's the reason why it keeps getting on the agenda, because I don't want it to just fall off the
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
edge and disappear.
It's the first meeting in May, too far away.
When did he say that was?
Seems far
April,
away.
wasn't it?
Yeah, we gotta get things going.
Did you say the end of April?
Which would give them more time.
So have all RFPs done by May 1st?
Like,
Is
ready to submit, get it out to the world.
Does that give us enough time?
Aye.
How can we deal with Bungana?
I know,
What do we gotta do
Bungana.
with Bungana Beachside before June?
I-
Besides cleanup.
Bungana, you might have to like
Accelerate that one.
section off areas, like close it off, certain areas, work on that, close, you know what I mean? You've seen parks do that, or they just close
Mhm.
off a section.
Okay, May 1st.
put it, if we can do it quicker for down there, we will.
Yeah.
But that's drop dead, okay. All right,
So Lindsay, this will stay on the agenda and so we can kind of keep,
Prodding
Alright.
us.
And, you know, like.
sorry.
No, that's good. We need to be
If
prodded.
there's good RFP information, if you need help typing it up or something, like, you know, like what Dave does, like he'll kind of give me his information, I'll put it in a fancy format. I just kind of need to know, like, your scope of work and what you want to work on.
You didn't think I had
Dave,
spell check.
Dave.
I'm doing it now.
You didn't think I had spell check.
Oh, the truth, finally.
We're touting
Should've
all
known.
these skills.
There was no errors in there.
Because you're so good at spreadsheets, that's why you don't do RFPs, right? Okay,
Okay, see, where are we?
Yeah.
yes. Oh,
I don't
it's me,
have a-
right?
Oh, is it?
Me?
Yeah, I gotta
Unfinished
see.
C.
God, we are all over the place.
Huh?
Well,
Nope.
unfinished C.
Unfinished C. So myself, Brenda, and Matt met with the individual who applied when we put word out that we were looking for somebody for the local health officer position. Just had an informal conversation with her. She applied. She's aware of the stipend. She has some good background. Brenda, Matt, and I talked about it briefly after. None of us had any major concerns. So she specifically sort of regurgitated the amount of the stipend, which is not a lot. So she's well aware and interested in helping us out. So
Wow.
I forget her name. Eileen.
Kelly, maybe?
Eileen, right?
There's an appointment sheet in Rusty's signature.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, I can't think of her last name.
Do we
You
need
have it? 'Cause
to,
I'll just make
need
it
to
a
vote on it?
motion.
Do we need-
So it'd be good if I knew her name.
is this it? Holy cow, we got this stuff.
So I make a motion that we appoint Eileen D. Kelly of Lyman to the position of local health officer.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right.
Yay. Matt's super psyched. Or maybe he's bummed because he's missing out on that stipend, but.
All right, moving on. Item 5, letter D, handicap ramp out back. After the day after we approved it, we found out we don't need it legally, but
It's still the right thing to
I
do.
Still the right thing to
I
do,
think it is the right thing to do.
absolutely,
And
no change.
And town hall expansion isn't going to undo it,
no,
correct?
and I,
So we
yeah,
just leave it alone.
Yeah.
I think that they're gonna treat us right and
We have the funds, or if they treat us better, that's great.
Yep.
But it's the right thing to do.
okay, so no change. Moving on.
Good, thank you.
All right, E, woo, Old Kennebunk Road.
Let's go. Here.
Please jump, yeah.
Yeah, Brad sent a letter. It's on the whole abandonment process.
Have-
You go through it? Yeah.
Mhm.
So we'll just need to determine like the section of the road is
Quickly.
abandoned, I kind of know that. So we can figure out which landowners are gonna be affected. They wrote in a letter, you would start with reviewing the evidence of the road is abandoned, which, the town attorney's office believes we already have evidence to support that. So then the next step would be to schedule a public hearing. All the affected property owners have to be notified within 30 days of the public hearing. And then we'll send notices. Brad's office said they would send up notices to the property owners as long as we give a list of who. Probably Elford should be notified as well because they're abutting it. And then after you do the public hearing, it says at a select board meeting, you'll vote to declare the roads abandoned, and you have to vote as to whether a public easement shall be maintained on the abandoned road. And then you wait until all the appeals process is done, and then the town clerk would certify it, so long that nobody appealed it and any issues came up. So that's the gist of the order of things. So I guess you guys will have to schedule a public hearing if you want to continue doing this.
Guess so. When,
I think this is another one we need to put to bed.
Yes.
I think if this clarifies it, legal, makes it all legal, we can put that in the category of Oscar Littlefield Road. Oh, done.
how long of a notice for the
Having
public
fat
meeting?
letters, my office will assist with prepping the certificate for more. I mean, it comes with a price tag, but
Yeah. And then we can get it off the
we'll
agenda.
be done with it. We'll have a determination made, yeah. Can I second your motion?
Hold on.
Was that a
Yep.
motion?
No,
Hold
I
on.
hadn't, we were just,
I would suggest like mid to late May, so you have plenty for your public hearing. Just so you have plenty of, notice to go out, letters get notified well in advance. And you could do a little bit earlier than that.
Can we tag it with a select board meeting?
Yeah, you
Let's
could.
do it for the 8th, May 8th. Oh, no, May 1st.
But we need all this other stuff done before we do the public hearing, correct?
Well, so the attorney's office believes that we already have all the evidence to support that the road is abandoned. So the attorney, town council is
Listen.
putting that together. And that's your evidence to present at your public hearing.
So whatever that timetable is, correct? Before your public hearing.
Yeah, your public hearing, you just have to give the affected property owners 30 days notice
Before the public hearing.
before the public hearing. But I mean, it's gotta go out mail, you guys, and by the time they get the letter, they open it. You just don't wanna like read somebody going, "I'm gonna
Yeah,
get a
right.
letter 2 weeks before the meeting."
Right.
So,
So maybe May 15th meeting is better.
yeah. But yeah, the 15th maybe.
Fine.
Plenty of time to put stuff together and-
We just have to keep in mind that we will have to have a public, don't we have to have a public hearing for the June election too? The June ballot? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Well, that,
which is fine, because it's like a billion week month.
that's like,
5
what,
month.
6 weeks from today, right? Roughly, May 15th.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that,
Oh, it's
to me, that's quick. I,
7 or 8.
yeah.
You wanna go out further?
No, I don't, no, I want
30,
it done yesterday.
45.
I'm just, what will,
55, 56
I mean,
days,
this
7 weeks.
office with, we're dealing here,
Eight weeks.
has been traditionally slow.
Mhm.
And so that's my issue.
It's 55 days. It's 8 weeks.
I
It's 8
understand
weeks,
that.
not 6.
Okay, all right. Well, you know,
I think we can bang it out on the 15th,
I'm fine.
I'd like to-
Wherever,
just to get it going.
wherever you want to go, I'll go with you. But
So I make a motion that we schedule the public hearing for May 15th.
what day is that?
It's our
Monday.
second, yeah.
Second, it's the third Monday of May, so it'll be at
Mondays are usually
the
good.
beginning
right?
of our regular meeting.
Yeah.
Sorry, May 15th at 6 PM for our regular meeting.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right.
Now, is there a specific portion of that we're gonna be abandoning? I mean, I don't know how abandoning all of it. Right? You just gonna do it between the gates or? Cause I have to get a list of property owners to grab.
Between gates,
Yeah,
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 that's-
beyond Hassan.
because Hisson owns on each side,
Yeah,
on one side, Du Bois owns on the other side, both sides.
Yeah.
And up above, it's the same thing, each property owner owns slightly on each side of the gate, so. Gate to gate,
gate to gate.
now that road,
somewhere in there, we need to tell town council that the road changes name. Our half is Old Kennybunk Road. Alfred's side is Kennybunk Road.
right, but,
So we need to clear with town council that don't just call it Kennybunk Road, or don't call the whole thing Old Kennybunk Road. It is 2 different names, and it's listed that way on signs as well, and on tax maps. Just something to bring to their attention, that's all.
yeah,
We don't need a little glitch because somebody says, well, that's not the right name. You know what I mean? Just, only takes one person to think about that.
And we'll have to have it. Now, we got a discrepancy of the town line on that end too, don't we?
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with the road, that's actually on the paved portion, so I'm still working on that right now.
All right, all right.
All right.
Yeah, we want to avoid any of that type of BS.
Item F, discuss municipal election. Motion to approve the order that the municipal election be held on June 13th, 2023. Isn't that what I just read?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
But you can't make it.
Oh, I know. I was just reading. Sorry, go ahead.
they're not required, but, they're always requested by a town clerk, so I just kind of wrote out the motion.
I make a motion to approve the order that the municipal election be held on June 13th, 2023.
I'll second that.
Discussion, all in favor? All right,
I make a motion to approve the order that the annual town meeting be held on June 15th, 2023.
Second.
any discussion?
What day is that? Perfect. It's not gonna coincide with any graduations or anything, is it?
I already checked.
Perfect.
Did I
Made
get a
that
second?
mistake one
Was there a
year.
second?
Yeah, we're in discussion.
That was a discussion. Okay, all in favor?
Approval.
Whew. All right, and we're moving on.
Is that all we had to do?
What's that?
I don't, how about this?
Oh, that part, sorry. Forgot. I asked for that to be on the agenda. My bad. Yeah, so I was just hit up about the layout, which I know Dave sent something out about it. So I was questioning about it. So I said, let's get it on the agenda and settle it once and for all. So Dave, it looks like this layout works. You did measuring and
It seemed to work. I had Pauline in here. What she's gonna do is we're gonna lay it out to and maximize on the next election, although we don't need to, put 2 booths out and just to see how it will flow and work. But as for the next election, there's 20 of them fit in here for me.
Right, there, the June ones were the easy ones. Yep.
I did, oh, you got
That's crayons.
it. Sorry.
yeah, there's an email too from today about that and is it November that doesn't work? The primaries? Or maybe it doesn't work, I'm not sure. Do we just deal with that then? I don't know.
Aren't we at the school in November?
I don't,
Okay, June's all set?
Yeah, I mean, June's all set, but aren't we, I thought we were at the school in November.
yeah. And if we don't, looking at, oh God, I can't remember the name of the outfit.
Yeah, we,
Rustic Dreams?
Yeah,
Right.
that might be further review. We had the Pie Social in there a couple Sundays ago. And man, there's a lot of area. There's a big parking lot. There's separate, entrance and exit doors. There's an open floor. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys actually got down there and looked at the building.
We looked at the road. I thought it was asphalt.
Well, that's
Pretty clean,
the other part of it.
Yeah.
We were there with a real muddy thawing, and it was wet on top, but it was fine.
But for November, would be okay for November.
Well, and they're talking about paving.
Yeah.
They were incredibly easy to work with. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I was just,
No, my thought process was we're kind of getting a little crazy and it works, it don't work. There's no asphalt, there's no signs. It was just starting to blow up. My point was it'll fit right here.
okay, yeah,
And it
yeah,
does.
yeah, and
But we can
yeah,
still look at that for
for a bigger one. Yeah, and that was my whole thing. And I didn't know anything about it, so at the time I didn't say anything. And then when the Farm Bureau rented it, it was like, wow, this is quite a facility. So Anyway, we're agreeing too much tonight, right? We
Because
gotta
we're
All
making
right, so
progress.
item 6, department and committee reports, ordinance review committee,
Yes.
review, approve bylaws and mission statement.
I make a motion that we approve the ordinance review committee's bylaws and mission statement as submitted.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right. All right, item B, Parks and Recs, requested waiver for insurance documents. See the email. Excuse me. Why is... Here we
I
go.
can explain what I'm looking for.
Great,
Please.
thank you.
Molly.
You're welcome. So basically, we're doing the concert in parks like we do every year. But this year, Jeanette told me we needed all the insurance information. The bands that we get don't have this stuff.
Mhm.
So I was hoping you guys would waive what we can do. I talked to Waterboro, they asked for W-9s and they asked for an agreement, and that's it. And they do like their big concert in the parks, they're bigger than we are. So I was hoping, because if we have to ask for insurance, they're gonna charge a whole lot more than what they're charging, and we're getting bands that are 500 or less.
Mhm.
And the whole W-9 thing, I think we can work with, but a lot of them don't have, I don't know how that would work, because they don't have like a tax ID, because they're not businesses, really.
I want to say that there is an umbrella that covers that. People with limited hours.
Mhm.
But they are covered. I
Because
believe.
it will only be
We
one
should look
time,
into
like,
that. It really doesn't matter because they can get hurt at one time.
right.
But I think as long as they're on a sanctioned town, that I believe there's an umbrella policy.
So I put it in your guys, well, your policy's in there that you guys signed in October. And it says for like sole proprietors or independent contractors who don't have workman's comp, for example, have to get the state to declare them as an independent contractor. And it is a lot of paperwork to go through for like a concert or something. But the reason being is because MEMRIC had brought this up as an issue and our workman's comp insurance had brought it up as an issue. They are the ones that initiated this policy for us, because if something happens, then it goes on to the town's workman's comp. But, the board can waive these things. If you guys feel like it's a non-issue, you can waive it for, an individual or something like that. But that's the reason the policy's there. It was just because, you have independent contractors that, go all over the place, work for different towns and whatnot, and if they get hurt in the process and they don't have workman's comp or any sort of liability insurance, it falls on the town.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. So the liability umbrella will cover these, would they be part-timers or
If we signed off
what
on
are
it.
they called?
Yeah, if you guys waive it,
So the town is covered.
if you guys waive it, it'll fall on our workman's comp or on our insurance.
Well, the other
Right, so there's
part of that
coverage.
is, now, at Bunganut, we've got liability there anyway for people. As far as I understand that, because that's, any of these out, not here on town property, not in the buildings, but there.
Yeah.
We've got, because it's a pond, because it's a park, because of all that particular situation, I think we've got
We do. Yeah.
liability, so I think that helps us too. I mean, if it was anywhere else in town, it'd be like, I don't know, but I think because it's there.
It's a
You're all
case-to-case matter, they come before the board and we,
So
right.
Yeah.
can I make I'm not going to ask, sorry. I'm going to make a motion that we waive the insurance requirement for any Parks and Rec entities that are doing business with the town less than 2 times a year. that work?
Would that include general liability, the auto liability, and the workers' comp?
We waive this policy for
So what would they need
groups
to
less than
have?
two, right? Or,
Well, I was
never
going-
mind,
I
I'm
was
gonna
good
rescind
with-
my whole motion. I'm gonna rescind my whole motion so we can rethink this together.
So.
Just trying to be
again,
productive.
they have zero insurance. They come up, they're working for 2 hours,
Playing songs.
they fall down. They are covered by the town. We have an umbrella that covers us, do we not?
I believe we do.
Can we
That's-
confirm that?
That's the big thing.
The only thing workers' comp, if you're working for the town, like workman's comp, usually your rates go up the more you claim a workman's comp thing, so that's another factor to it. I don't know if that works for municipalities, I just know from working with like private
does.
businesses, we have workman's comp insurance, and every time you dip into that, your rates go up.
Yeah,
But
how did that come into workers' comp?
Well.
Because we're paying them.
Yeah, we're paying them.
For a service.
Something.
They're like an independent,
They become an employee of the town.
we're an independent contractor, essentially. That's what this whole thing is about. I mean, if I fall, I'm considered, right? Because I get paid too. So I fell under workers' comp or something.
But they're providing a service.
Mhm.
It's not, if you have a contractor down there building the playground, they wouldn't come under our workers' comp.
If they didn't have.
If they get paid
If
by
they
us-
didn't have their own and signed the policy, that's the
Okay,
thing,
no, that's,
right?
if they don't have their own
So they're
policy.
waiving their right for us to
I
cover.
like that.
Um,
Can you confirm that we have something that covers us?
Yeah, I mean, we can maybe.
I mean, you must have something. I mean, it's a park,
Yeah.
like.
Right.
Yeah, I like where
Must
he
be
was going
covered.
with
I'm
it.
sure we do.
No, we don't have to. That's the beauty of that. That's the state law. Any of those open
Yeah.
places, there is no town liability.
Yeah.
We checked on that years ago when we started opening up. That was one of the things we looked at. And now working is a different thing, I'll give you that. But as far as somebody walking out there with Billy and he falls on the rock and splits his head open, it's on them.
The only question is, if we're paying them, if it went to like a litigation matter, they might question, well, he's working for you, did you pay him $500? So then it
Right.
becomes, does it go under workman's comp, does it go under the certificate of liability? And insurance companies will probably argue that because they don't want to pay. So, and I'm not against waiving this, but these are just the factors, I guess, behind it.
I think we need more information.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not against it, but just make sure we have our ducks in a row.
All right, I feel like we must. I mean, if other towns don't require it, and we've talked to the bands, they have never had any asked of any of this, and they work for other towns too.
Yeah, overwhelmingly, they said these is well above and beyond anything.
Could you get a little more specific information out of Waterboro, maybe?
They cover the W-9 and the contract, that's it, that's all they
Yeah,
asked for.
and.
The contract might have language that says that they waive, right?
Yes,
They might sign off and say, we're responsible for our own
Yeah.
selves.
if you could just get, that would help us as
Yeah.
much as anything, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
that's all they asked for.
Yeah, and just maybe ask a couple of the questions Dave brought up and just chase it just a little.
I'd like to see if
Sorry
they
to
have a
add work
contract.
to you.
I mean, do they have a contract that they signed? I wonder if we could see
There's an
that.
agreement that they.
Yeah,
that
I
you
wonder
guys
what the
have on
wording-
website that they have to sign.
I think
Yeah.
it's the harmless agreement, I believe. is what-
Yes.
Pardon me, what I said?
Hold harmless.
Okay, hold on.
Harmless, but it runs down all the like insurance, all these requirements. Like, have you seen our hold harmless?
I didn't read the whole thing.
Okay. It does, it has requirements in there for all that
Okay.
insurance.
We need a
So,
different one.
yeah, we might need like a different hold harmless that's a little more
Hmm.
broken down.
Spells out.
Or a little
Like,
less.
you agree to not sue us if you fall and hurt yourself or something.
Right. I think it's there. I think we just gotta get it worded right.
So we would have two hold harmlesses. One would be like, if you're gonna waive it and make them agree to this, and one would be for your contractors that.
But I feel like if we're gonna waive it, it should be like a specific number of hours or a specific number of days or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There should be some
And-
type of a
and I hate-
parameter.
To bring it up, but is that something we ought to ask our attorney about? I mean, every time we do that, we're spending money.
I think it's an insurance agent thing.
Okay.
It shouldn't cost us any money to
Okay,
find that out.
I'm fine.
Yeah,
And we just want to be covered, that's all. And if they're satisfied, if the insurance company is satisfied with a waiver with specific language, have them provide. And we'll put it into whatever contract you have.
I imagine we've got to get that done pronto because your schedule.
Because we
and-
have to book the band, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have some bands that have said, depending on what you guys decide, they may decide not to perform depending
Sure.
on what the
Oh,
requirements
of course.
are, so.
Yeah.
April 3rd, too late?
Do you know when we have to?
I think April 3rd would be managed. Yeah, I think most of them would be willing to wait for a decision.
Well,
So you're saying
Well,
Is it
by
something
April
you
3rd?
And I think if you let them know, like, we're looking into it to make it less, like, we're not looking to make it added insurance or anything more, right? So they don't have to purchase extra.
Is it something that you want to make a motion pending? To get that right out of the way, so if it happens, we can get it to them sooner.
I don't know how I would make a motion pending for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't take what Michelle had.
I think April 3rd and we get the Waterboro contract and
I can tell you from working in the 1099 world for 30 years, we had massive crackdown about the past 3 years. The state rewrote everything. I know for us, we had to have all our subs get their own workers' comp. It was only $180 a year to period, but they have massive guidelines for 1099s. If this isn't even falling under that. So just, I mean, all I've worked as a sub for 30 years.
I think that's what we went through with academic and stuff.
Yeah,
Just like
it was a
everything
total overhaul of
policy.
the 1099.
There's the state's guidance on the workman's comp and stuff.
And who was not employed. Big time.
so you'll check with Waterboro on what they have their people sign.
Yeah, no, I thought
Thank you.
All right.
Also, what about the W-9? Like if they don't have an
Yeah, so my understanding with the W-9 is if the band has not formed an LLC, they don't have a tax ID, in which case they would use their social security number. And if there's multiple members of the band, would the costs get broken out and checks get written or the W-9 filled out for each individual? Where I'm going with this is I also had some responses saying the performers had never been asked to complete a W-9 unless the amount was over $600. Because I think that's the amount about which they need to pay taxes on it or
Right.
things to that effect. So it becomes kind of complicated if they're not an LLC, which I think all but one of the bands are not. So they're just local bands.
I think that's partially a Jeanette question, right?
Yeah,
As far as,
I know she does the W-9s for reasons of auditing. If we got audited, she has the W-9s available.
right.
So if you're 600 is the threshold, if you're under that, you technically don't need a W-9, but once you go over 600, then you need a W-9. But what she, in her practice, she always does it for auditing purposes, because that's what she does. To verify what the auditor got it down.
And so, yeah, okay.
I mean, I can ask her and,
She told me she wanted W-9s. I just wanted to know how we go about it.
Yeah, I think that would be up to the band, right? If they designate one person that fills out a W-9, or if they say, oh, well, we all want our even share, and it keeps it, I hate to say this out loud, but keeps it under 600 for each person, likely,
It's only
right?
500 for the band.
Exactly, so
Yeah.
however they figure out how to do that so that we're all legally compliant, I think is.
well, I mean, like a sole proprietor can use their social security as a tax ID number.
Mhm.
You know, so maybe that money goes to that sole proprietor and how they want to dish it out among
Yep.
members is up to them.
Well, then he's paying taxes on the whole
But
amount.
then they're paying
You
taxes
don't
on
pay
it when their
taxes.
social is being reported.
Yeah, it just becomes an added hassle.
But I think from the performer's perspective, that they're asked to do this thing where they haven't been asked at other places.
Well, I mean, if you're under 600, you don't pay taxes on
But I mean, if they have a whole bunch of them, and if you
Right.
to state,
it. Oh,
then,
yeah, okay.
you know,
yeah.
they're performing for one place and they have to keep doing.
Right.
That could, twice a year would be over 600.
So I have to check with Jim.
More info to come, right? Okay.
So
Okay.
by April 3rd, you'll let me know what.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
The agenda next time, right? April
Yeah,
9th.
so at the next meeting, I'll put it on the agenda, that way they can make a motion, if they're gonna waive it, it'll be a formal motion and said and done, and hopefully I'll look into like the Waterboro agreement and stuff and see if there's maybe different language that you can go on,
Right.
check with the insurance companies.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Eddie. Okay. Now we're on the
We'll stipend.
town clerk.
No, I just
Request
feel like
waiver
I was
for
thinking
insurance
stipend
documents.
or donation, or I don't know.
I mean, this kind of falls in the same thing here.
Yeah, this is the same thing, just different things from the moderator. Well, I guess we've never. I don't think we've done that. So it's when your moderator comes here, they're requesting, to waive it. One way to get around it is somehow make them like a per diem employee, and that falls under a workman's comp, or just waive it.
How is it any different than what we just talked
Right,
about?
can't this be the same one?
It was just over tonight, it's not a ton of paperwork, you filled out 1099, 31. Same thing.
Either
There's gotta be some type of an agreement. I'd be
yeah,
curious as to when you're gonna get that contract. And I know that's for like performers or whatever, but I guess technically maybe he is sort of like he runs the show. I don't
It's also included Joey Brooks in here as a locksmith.
I think she just wanted him
That
on
one's
file.
just saying that he's not set up in the system because we haven't used him
He's
since
a
this
private
policy.
More information than was needed.
Yep.
So it's,
Okay.
it's just a side note on that one.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Let's
Alright,
Let's
so
see.
we'll check into that.
Or even, I don't even know, does it make sense to check with Memic and just say, hey, we put this policy in place because it helps us help you? What are your recommendations for all these weird little one-offs that it
Well,
seems,
that's what I'll do, I'm just gonna kind of start in one direction and work my way around.
and it'll go into like 10 directions. So just let me know if you need help.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
I don't
see
even
where we
know.
are.
I'm
Yep.
sorry.
Road Commissioner Brad. Welcome back.
So first thing, the storm obviously went well. I did have a little pavement damage on a few subdivisions. Nothing major because obviously there's no frost left around.
Soft, big time.
So we'll be taking care of that this summer. The other question I had was about Old Kennybunk Road, and obviously that's been addressed. I think that we need to look hard into, and it's probably late in the season to do it and who's going to enforce it, but there is a lot of people pushing snow across the road. A lot of them. I can probably show you 30 places now that have been done. So we really need to look up the state statute. There is a specific number for it. And it is a finable offense. And I think that these people should be notified by certified letter that this will be your first and final warning. And there is a fine associated with this.
Can we do that without an ordinance?
It's a state statute.
It's a state statute. We don't need an ordinance for it. Every town does it, you know? And
So
it
who
would
finds
it would be up to the
Spoken to.
board that would have to enforce it.
Who finds it though? Us?
Who finds it?
Who like sends the fine? So we send out a notice. Hey, here's your notice.
The 5 of you would sign it.
Yep.
And then if it's a finable offense, you send out a fine with the 5 of you signing it.
And then who enforces it?
Does there have to be an appeal process when you do that?
Probably.
How could you have an appeal?
I
process
don't
if
think
you
so,
have
Dave. It's a
picture?
state statute. What there should be though
It has
is
to be proof.
pictures documented
Exactly.
next to a mailbox with a house number. So somebody can say, well, prove it was me.
Are you gonna take those pictures?
Oh, yeah. Well, the plow drivers can too, because they're the ones that
Yeah.
tell me about it,
Sure. I see it.
you know,
Yeah.
because they deal with the problems.
Yeah.
So,
And we
that's,
spent a lot of time over that in the past.
Oh,
years
yeah,
that
I
you
know.
and I've been riding
remember that on
around.
Mass Road.
Yeah.
So, anyway, So like I said, it's probably late in the season to do this, but we need to think about doing this and set something in place that this will be done. And maybe notify people through the website that this will be enforced next season. I mean, it's already end of March, so,
Yeah.
you know.
Newsletter.
Yeah.
Um,
What's
Um,
the process if they're just like, screw you, I'm not gonna pay the fine?
Exactly.
then I would think, if you look at that
It'll
statute, I
state
think we
police.
would be allowed to levy a tax lien against their property. Now, if they never sell their property, we don't get paid. But someday, it's money in the bank. It's gonna get paid somewhere down the line. The next thing is, I don't know if anybody, or if you got all the pictures that I sent of the solar sign that was destroyed at Bunganut.
I saw
Did
that
you send those out?
today.
Oh,
Yeah, I got those today.
Okay,
The sidewalk?
yeah,
How
on the,
tall?
on the lakeside was driven right over.
How bad is it? I mean,
I think
everything
it's
goes-
fixable because I went yesterday to try to pick it up and it's too heavy. I can't pick it up. I
Yeah.
wanted to get it off the road
Yeah.
and into the park somewhere, just so
Dismantle
it's out of sight, so somebody doesn't steal it.
Mm.
Because I reached down and hit the yellow button and the strobe lights and everything still work.
So
I think it's
I
salvageable.
didn't get a good look at it. I mean, is it the base that's,
The base broke right out of the concrete, destroyed, and it laid over and it broke the electronic box off of the post. But I think I can repair it.
Is that a plow issue?
No, it was a car,
oh.
Oh yeah, somebody
to,
did some
to hit
damage.
that?
right? But nobody saw anything because I've asked multiple people and it's not a heavily traveled road, as you know, once it gets dark out.
So they had to go off the road, right?
Oh, yeah, they definitely went off the road, down the ditch and right straight in through it and drove. I can see where the bumper, the black scuff mark stopped halfway up the pole. So they must have got towed off of it and split.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if it's anything you noticed, because I know you travel the road a lot and
No,
I was
didn't.
gone, so.
Would've
But I
definitely
noticed it
seen that.
instantly because I drive the road so often. I noticed it was down. The next
Easy
thing
call.
is, what are we doing with South Waterboro Road for the funding? Are we moving ahead with that, or are we tabling it and be done with it? Because we need to get going on this. We're either gonna put money into it or we're not going to.
That's budget, right? We talked about that, right?
We talked about it a little bit with budget, but we didn't come to a conclusion. We used to just put a little bit aside each
Yep,
year.
and we talked about a big
chunk.
chunk.
And then we talked about the option of just putting in, going all in,
Mhm.
right? Go big or go home. And that way we can do the matching with the state program.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't Jeanette gonna get us the info on the mill rate? I think we
Yeah,
have
she
that in
did.
an email.
If we go real high, yeah,
Yeah,
it affects it.
So I think we have the mill rate information. I can't remember if she sent it off to you guys or not.
she did, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but
If the town got a bond, would they still match the amount?
They
Yeah.
probably would,
Yeah,
because it's money. We have the money.
So, I mean, what you pay in interest, you're gonna save in inflationary dollars.
yeah, exactly. It's just too bad it wasn't a bond 2 years ago, and I mean, we know. that's-
3 years ago, actually,
Yeah.
because
know
we
what the-
lost 2, you know?
But, yeah, I think the smart move is a chunk of money one way or another.
A bond's adjustable rate?
Last time when Lisa looked into it, way back when, you get fixed rates depending on the years that you want to do it.
I don't know if in this economy, if we want an adjustable rate.
I
I
wouldn't,
don't know if we want any rate in this economy.
I know.
'Cause they seem
Zero
to
I think
comes to
that's a
mind.
budget,
Right,
I think
yeah.
that's a budget workshop, right? Like,
Yeah, we have a couple unfinished things on budget.
Right.
That's sent out to you,
Yeah.
and people are adding more stuff to it, so we will have to have some more budget meetings.
Yeah.
And,
cause regardless, that goes to town meeting.
Yes.
We just need to make a decision
Right.
of what's gonna
Yeah.
go to
Right,
town meeting, what's
right.
gonna go to budget committee, and then
right.
all
But
together.
your inflationary rate on road construction has run way ahead of normal inflation.
Oh, yeah, and we'll never play catch up. That just won't
No,
happen. So
no.
we have to start somewhere.
Right,
We have to.
and,
Either that or we table it and it's done. We're just,
yeah, and I mean,
if anybody knows the road well, next Thursday or Friday will be 9 months that that road has been overlaid. And every single crack is already back.
yeah,
Reflective cracking has come back up through.
Yeah.
And it will happen every single year.
and you,
Eventually, the old pavement is just so thick, you cannot stop reflective cracking without reconstruction. You
Right.
just can't.
the other part of it is, you guys been studying that for a few years. So, I mean, you know what sections and where we can get the biggest bang for our
That's
buck.
correct.
So, you know,
I don't want to beat a dead horse. I just wanted to bring it up.
No.
That we need to do something with it. That's all.
because of
budget
inflation
committee.
and the match and throwing a big chunk, whether, and I think you're probably thinking of the same thing we are. We're also looking at a town hall expansion. So, you know, you're gonna have a bond with one or the other, or a combination, and the trouble with surplus is you wanna be able to take the same amount of surplus every year so you don't make peaks and valleys, right? I mean, that's what we talked about with the ambulance revenue at the fire department. That's why that's done that way. So it's, and I think from Jeanette's report to us last time, she seemed to feel we were putting the maximum, taking the maximum amount out of our reserves and offsetting the taxes currently. So you're probably right, looking at a bond. I mean, that's just me thinking out loud here. And not, you know, I've already missed Tucker, so I guess I don't care. But it's, you know.
Anyway, I have one more item. I'm going to apply for some federal grant money for bridges to see if we can get anything to do that culvert replacement and the bridge replacement on Day Road.
Yeah.
Because there is some federal money for that. And then I'm going to apply for another grant that has to do with a fish chaseway to be able to replace the 2 culverts on Clark's Woods Road. Whether we get anything or not, I got nothing to lose and all to gain.
Yeah.
The troubled one?
Yes.
No, what's the fish chaseway, please?
Fish travel through that. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Fish and Wildlife have. So there's money available to keep something like that and upgrade it.
Is there a way to make it beaver proof at the same time?
No, but there's a way to make it less beaver proof, like by a
beaver-proof?
4 foot tall by 8 foot tall box culvert. A lot harder to build. The water is not nearly as violent. The sound is a lot less, and it's also easy to clean if you have to,
Okay,
because you can get into things
all right, that makes sense too.
versus just a 3 foot pipe that takes them overnight and they got a log jam put in there.
Yeah.
What they do in a half hour takes me a day to fix. So anyway, any other
Progress.
questions?
That's progress.
Absolutely.
All set?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
All right, moving on. Time here.
3 beavers versus
Chief's
1
here.
excavator.
I'm
Well,
happy to help you if you need
Chief.
help with those grants.
There's
Done.
a specific form that I fill out, actually. It's already all.
Oh, it's just a boom boom?
Yeah, it'll come out of Augusta.
Awesome.
Right after when I asked for
Oh,
it.
you
they'll have
skipped
to say,
delivery.
He would have been
yes,
like,
there's money available for it.
Yes, thank
Awesome.
you. I thought it was at another place.
All right.
he'd have been
Works
like,
for
oh,
me.
no, that'd have
Not
been out
that
here an
hard.
hour ago.
No, he's here to review.
Awesome.
Oh, is it?
Oh, I think.
Couple things, nothing as long as Brad took, but
Ooh.
Yeah, okay. I never saw.
2 open positions at the fire department jobs have been offered. Both have been accepted. One starts Friday, and I'm working to figure out schedules for the next one to make that happen.
Nice.
Awesome.
The extrication equipment came in last week. I think I had it reversed when I talked to you a couple weeks ago, and the ballistic vest will be here at the end of the month.
Awesome.
So
Great.
that's really all I have for updates, unless I don't know if Tom has anything or if
We had a good budget meeting.
anything for me. I think it went very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having like 3 versions ready to go.
Yes, it's 3.
I'm being serious. I'm geeking out. It's good.
I think I actually had 6.
Well, thanks for let me
I know, I'm
rephrase.
sorry.
Thanks for being well prepared.
You're welcome. Yeah, it was a good job.
Have you ever done or ever considered a day of touring through all the new equipment and things and have the, invite the public to come and see what their money is actually going towards?
Yeah, we try and have an open house every fall around Fire Prevention Week. Obviously, COVID's kind of shut those down the last couple of years. We had a mini one last year that we ended up kind of curtailing our night towards the dedication of the new fire truck and the new ambulance. But definitely when Fire Prevention Week comes around in October, we'll the fire station back up and have another open house. We've got other things that are that are planned or in the works with the community day on Earth Day, the trash pickup in the morning, and then a kind of a touch a truck event in the afternoon. So that'll be April 22nd. So we get some stuff in the works, but
I like that.
yeah.
For your granddaughter.
You know, we got some things in the works. I don't, to be honest with you, we haven't done much in the last 2.5 years, and I think the pandemic has scared most of us to not want to pass that around and wipe out the entire fire department because we had a public event. So, but I think we're over that now, and we're definitely back to do that stuff. All right. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, let's move this right along. Tax clerk, she's got a February report here. Just keep going.
Is it posted outside?
Of course it is. Not that, that's the warrants that she does. I'll read it. CEO review and approve updates to fee schedule.
I took off ZBA because I didn't get a chance to call them, left just my trees.
Is this an addition that you put, or did you up the?
This was last
Oh,
week.
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
She had actually brought a tree permit that she talked about with the board.
And so we approved the tree permit form, but then I think you just updated the fees, right? On
Yep.
here.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we accept the new fee schedule presented by the code enforcement officer.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right.
Boom.
Board of Assessment Review.
So getting feedback that we're not speaking loud enough.
Hello.
They bring them down 12 inches, right?
I always get yelled at. Let's say thank you. All right, discuss board secretary duties and appointment application received for a board member.
So currently, this is a 3-person committee.
Excuse me.
This is the same committee that was requesting secretarial support from us. I went to their meeting so they could have the public hearing on last Monday. Yeah, last Monday. Only because it wasn't really fair to the applicant to postpone the hearing because they didn't have somebody available. So ran the YouTube, took some minutes, and they're in a good position for that specific one. This is a tricky committee because they only meet like once every, I don't know, they haven't met for like 12 years. They haven't had a reason to meet. So it's sort of one of those things that came up. And after talking to Lori, it's really, it is a conflict of interest for Lori to support the Board of Assessment Review because essentially somebody is appealing Lori's decision as the assessor. So what I think it's just a matter, and Lindsay helped me out here, but I think some of it's a matter of clarifying sort of roles and responsibilities because I think Lori helped them out a lot as a way to support them and keep things moving forward. I know one individual had submitted their resignation from the committee because they didn't feel as though they were receiving the support that they needed. That individual has rescinded his resignation. I think because I showed up, I don't know if I was clear that I'm not going to be their secretary forever, but I'm happy to help out. But I think the reality of it is I think there's some confusion because I think some of the secretarial role of that committee is really like turn on the YouTube, which again, Lindsay made a quick little click this, and it was super easy. And some of it's just coordinating, booking the room and making sure that happens. And if they need help sending things out, I think, and again, stop me if I'm misspeaking, but if they have to send notices out to people, then, Lindsay can help with that piece of it. I think it's just a matter of clarifying that possibly for the committee.
What I tried to explain to them early on was like per charter and state statute, so they were really worried, like doing the minutes, for example. If you just record your meeting, state statute says those are your minutes. You don't have to write it. That's a choice at that point. And like you said, it's very easy. Click, 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 you're streaming. So then I was looking at it from if it's overwhelming, how can we make it underwhelming? And so that's one way. Things like agendas aren't required, it's a formality. So if doing the agenda, adds too much to the work, we can just say, look, you don't have to do the agenda. So they were really looking at like recording your meetings, because you have to have, some record of it. They may have to contact me and book the meeting room. It's just a quick email, hey, can you give me some dates when it's available? And then maybe coordinate with the applicant and let them know this is scheduled and you have to write a letter of decision. And that, letters of decisions and stuff get filed by the town clerk. So if they want to draft up a letter, I can certainly give it to the town clerk and say, hey, you're going to file this, can you send it to the applicant?
And they are doing that. So I made it clear that I was here, I took the minutes, I'll send them along to them, but the BAR's responsibility is to put together the letter of decision. I had said, send it to Lindsay just because we were here and she can help get that distributed, however it gets distributed, because to be completely honest, I had no idea in that moment. But also didn't want that hearing not to be able to take place, because it's really not fair to the appellant, the person appealing the decision. So I think overall the hearing went really well. I think it's just one of those things where it doesn't happen very often. I think that we had provided clerical support, I think, to the ZBA. So I think there was some confusion there as far as, well, you did it for one, you should do it for everybody else. Julie does that for ZBA, right?
You mean the planning board?
No,
Nope,
ZBA.
ZBA.
So a similar situation happened a few years ago, where the ZBA didn't meet, and then all of a sudden they had an application and they wanted a secretary. And
Right.
so they put it on the select board clerk, at the time it was Lori, and that's how ZBA got a secretary. But that's exactly what we're looking at right now.
Right.
Where a committee came and we set a precedence, and now the precedence is.
I don't know that we set a precedent. I think a decision was made, and now people are trying to utilize that as precedent, because if you'll remember, the planning board brought forward, hey, we want a secretary, and we said, oh, that's not what we do, right? You nominate somebody within your committee. And they did. You do. And I think in the absence of Julie, I apologize.
I know who it was.
So that Don Hernan guy, I know. But so all I'm saying is I think that there's a solution. I don't mind helping in the interim while we figure it out. And for all we know, this won't happen for another 12 years. But I just think it's important that we're all on the same page, because understandably, Lori kind of wanted some resolution to, well, she has, I think, 4 more. She indicated, I think, 3 or 4 more that were on her desk. And she had a feeling that they're all for the same sort of
Same
clump
thing,
of properties. But I just want to have a
I think
answer.
It starts with an application coming in, they would probably
Yeah.
submit, they'd probably go to Sue or Holly, it's the first person they see.
Mhm.
So, perhaps it's like the town clerk, or whoever, can just, all you're doing is emailing that application to the
Mhm.
board of assessment review.
Mhm.
Here you go. And then they would coordinate with me, set up a meeting. I don't know.
It seems pretty
And then
easy.
one of them wants to record their meetings, they don't have to do minutes.
And with the assessment review, I think what drove that is you just had a major revaluation. And I know we told everybody to come in, if you're going to dispute it, come do that. But I'm sure a lot of people didn't until they had the tax bill in their hand. So it would be, I don't know. I don't know if you got a bunch more coming. I don't know if you don't, but you might.
But it's like all related.
Yeah.
Family.
Doing
But I think we're good now, right, with understanding?
I think we are, and I think some of the confusion from the individual who resigned and then rescinded resignation was there was a reference made to reams of paper, and I think a lot of that was just the packets that are associated with that case, and we weren't expecting that board to like navigate and file and do all the things. I think it was just that's part of the caseload to review and be prepared. So I think we're good. Don't quote me on that,
Well,
everybody.
yeah, what happens if the 4 come along?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to be facing this again? Have they agreed to your recommendations?
No, they elected a secretary,
Oh,
I'm
they
pretty
did?
sure, as like a no,
Oh,
for that specific hearing. So I think each hearing, and this is the way it was laid out, and I think that's the procedural way. I don't know if that's, I'm assuming that's dictated by a statute or something.
We can elect a secretary which is dictated by statute.
I don't know if that's what they all understood to be the case when they nominated a chair and a secretary, like a, anyway, this may end up requiring further discussion, but I think it's manageable. And again, I'm happy to help while we figure it out. So maybe it's just to stay tuned. If it comes up again, I don't like that answer necessarily, but I don't know if I have a better one today.
And we did get an application, so we have 2 alternate positions open on that board of health review.
Make a motion to accept the application.
No, go ahead.
nope, you got it.
Yay.
Discussion, all in favor? Beautiful. All right. Oh, she dropped off a treasurer's report. Oh, I saw it somewhere, but anyways, let's go to item G. Town Hall Expansion Committee, review approved quotes.
So I sent, Lindsay sent out 3 quotes to you.
Yep.
Packet.
Yep.
What's that?
So none of these ceiling lights are operating, just, you know, if you're back there on YouTube, like, you can hear.
Please. He's getting complaints and people can't hear.
Okay.
So you gotta use that mic,
So
please. Thank you.
we went over, our building committee went over these 3 quotes,
Mhm.
and we have come up with, we recommend using Stephen Everett. He's got a great track record. He has a quicker response time for when he can do this. He's very thorough. And his price is right on point with what we need.
On here, it says that his proposal expired. Have we confirmed that he's still going to honor that price?
We did, didn't we, Dave?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I move we go with their recommendation.
That's what, yeah, sorry. I'll second.
Discussion?
Can we, that's within the budget that's allotted for this fiscal year, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And those services are going to be able to get done before the end? Awesome. Okay.
All in favor?
Okay.
Thank you.
Nice. All right, committee request for AV IT equipment use. There's other. Is there another? Anybody? Sorry. You're right, I did. I didn't even see that.
Like, no.
It's up top.
Yeah, see how I missed it?
Oh, I see.
Oh, boy.
Well, it goes JG,
I was gonna mention that too, right?
just saying.
Oh, boy. Okay.
I saw
There's
you.
the K.
I saw you guys. I saw you questioning it.
I haven't been in school in a while. I can't remember the alphabet.
All right, so we
So you guys approved the
with policy, right?
A couple of committees came up and, they, you know, are recommending their people. So it's up to the board, you can decide. You're gonna approve, the names on the list are gonna be able to use that computer to stream on YouTube.
Sorry.
Once the board approves it, I'll have you sign the policy and I'll give you training and go over all that stuff.
Did we have what you had discussed, a sign-off sheet.
Oh, I forget, you weren't at the last meeting.
Kind of involved in that, yeah, whatever.
Yes, no, they'll have a sign off, they sign off on the policy, then I give them the training, and we set them up user credentials to get the computer, and,
Pretty much what we had discussed, and you and Brendan, and
yeah.
cool.
It's good policy.
Good job.
So I make a motion that we approve Michelle Felicetti, Vicky Gavel, Michael Rancourt, and Peggy McDonald.
I'll second that.
Yeah, any discussion? All in favor? Boy, that's been a while, huh? Get that one off the list too. Nice. Okay, we have an appointment. Application received for Comprehensive Plan Committee. All right.
I haven't
And-
received any other applications, also, I know you guys want to put together a comprehensive plan committee, but I've only got one so far. So, if you wanna like, hold on to it for a minute.
Yeah, I
and
was just-
see, you know, what
I
else we
would.
get for volunteers.
How often do we review this and?
So, all right, at the last meeting.
Here we go.
I was not going to say it out loud.
I had a feeling that was coming.
The ordinance review committee, Katie came up, she talked about, they're doing some review on old LD 2003. And they were guided to get the comprehensive plan updated for it, so, she did a really great job explaining it much better than me. So that's where we were at, you guys remember that?
Yeah, and it was also, the comprehensive plan also needed some sort of minor updates just because of the town manager form of government and changes in the charter. And the last review, I believe, missed a big, there was a section of it that
management
wasn't,
plan.
the growth management plan wasn't part of it either. So statute, I think, only requires every 10 years, but
Which we did in 2019.
19.
yeah.
Right. But the town manager's Pat is requiring the update, I think. Because
Part
the
of it.
wording.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, why ORC. I also wondered if we reach out to the people that were on 19 and see if they're interested.
Well, that's what I was looking. There's no signatures or anything. Who was on the?
Rod Hooper was on it.
I don't have like phone numbers, we don't have a record of like phone numbers.
Yeah.
Maybe an email address, I can like write them a letter to their house, you know, but, yeah.
I was
Right.
on the
Can I
last.
Make a comment?
Yes.
The names of the members are right in the 2019
Yeah,
Right.
They are?
report, and I you should know most of them, I would think.
yeah.
Well, I mean, like Patty, for example. she's not
Am I missing something?
Yeah. It might just be the version that you printed because I think they're on there somewhere.
I know.
And I'm working on it.
I either it didn't print out or that's what I was saying. Why
Yeah.
doesn't it have? So it's not on my copies. My apologies. I have a copy of.
I think we can figure out some contact info for them though, like either even in the file
Yeah.
I
somewhere.
have their mailing address.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'd
but like
reach out
I have
to
an
them.
email. I have an email for Rod, and I forget who else was on it, but I'm sure we have stuff somewhere. I mean, they might just laugh and ignore it too, but it's worth a try.
Well, it's worth a try.
All right, so we're tabling that for the time being.
I'd do it again if you let me.
Is it an appointment to be a resident?
Yeah, well, so your charter states in,
Yeah.
or to be a part of a committee or commission or whatever, you have to be a registered voter in Lyme.
Patty was more of a facilitator. She didn't vote.
All right. Moving on. See?
So
Cemetery Committee review, approve resignation, see email. So it's a resignation from Celeste.
I make a motion that we accept Celeste Hatch's resignation from the cemetery committee effective September 1st, 2022.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Get her off.
Next up, the assessor request for board approval. Oh, I did.
No.
Yeah, I did. Well, you're all over it. That's why she's Lynn's. All right, just. That's what happens. See.
Well, there's nothing in there, there's no content, it's just discussion.
Oh,
I'm missing the D tab.
that's
A
okay.
blank piece of paper with a D that keeps us in line.
Okay.
No. I'm like, no.
No.
We kill enough trees with this packet.
I know, it's not good for sustainability.
Oh, boy.
Well, yeah, let's run with this.
This on here because I'm getting like mixed information on, sometimes people are like, contact the town attorney, make a phone call. What's the procedure? Does the board, if a committee or a department or whatever want to contact the town attorney, how do you guys want people to do that? Do you want to decide in an email? Like, people send me emails all the time and say, forward it to the board, and I think they kind of expect you to just like decide in an email, which you shouldn't. But, do you want to do it as a board in a meeting?
I think this is a budget issue. I think certain committees and boards should have their own.
Well, they do. So your next budget, we lined them out for each committees and departments and whatnot. So there's
Right.
like, it used to be there's a legal budget line, if,
The assessor doesn't have them.
yeah, and if the assessor needed to use it, it would come out of that legal budget line. So what we did was we took the legal budget line and made separate lines for each of them. So they have this amount, this amount, this amount. I'm asking if the board is the final authority on, making that decision to contact the attorney, what's the procedure? Do you want the assessor to just contact the attorney whenever? Do you want to be notified? Do you want it to go through me?
I think funneling through the board clerk is important, and I think we talked about this earlier
Yep.
this year when
Yep.
I first started,
Yep.
was having it funnel through you so that we have the documentation, so that it's not asking the same question multiple times because either somebody can't remember or we don't know who answered it, or it's buried in somebody's email. So I think that piece of it, as far as
billing wise.
how it's approved, I mean,
Well, sometimes, the board, like, when I've worked with other boards before, it could be, depends on the request. You might look at that and go, that's not a town council question, maybe check MMA first,
Mhm.
right? So it gives you guys the opportunity
Right.
to weigh out, do we want to spend money on this?
Yep.
Or are there other avenues?
Then you'd be able to pick that out. You can call
Yeah,
that,
I got some feedback.
oh boy.
Are you saying you're not comfortable making that decision?
I pasted state statute in the email and it went to town council anyways. So I mean, I have no problem if you wanted to filter it through me, but you're gonna come into a crossroads, like, what if I say no and the person doesn't like it? Right?
Then bring it to us.
Maybe it filters through.
I think
the
it
board.
starts with you, and if somebody disagrees with your interpretation, then it can come to the board.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Does that work?
Yeah.
I just, again, think it's important that there's a clearinghouse for that.
Mhm.
And MMA is a great resource that we already pay for, so when we can utilize them, let's do it. Or phone calls, or,
Yeah, just trying
Okay.
to take the traffic off of
I
her.
know we had this discussion once before.
Yes, we did.
I think
We
it's
need
just,
to put out notice?
it's just clarification, I think.
Departments and committees, like, I do send out an email, memo.
Yes.
thing.
It was discussed and the
This
chain
is
of
the
command
process.
is, or however the process is, thus.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh,
I
Yeah, and
just,
I don't have like,
for accounting wise, how
Yep.
do we prove when he's billing us? Yeah, I talked to Lindsay, they're,
well, every time you guys decide who gets to contact the attorney, he just sends us a bill, so,
Of course he does.
yeah. Well, it's his time.
It's legit.
But Jeanette codes it. Does she not?
No, town council does. He gives us
Okay.
an itemized.
Yeah.
plan. Yeah, he breaks it all down.
Yeah.
Is that you?
I'm good. No,
Okay.
I just wanted to clear that up.
Nope.
because-
Then I think it needs to be.
I was confused personally.
Yeah, I don't know if that needs to be reiterated that all funnels through, just so there's,
Yeah, when she puts out
She's
the memo,
going to.
yeah,
and
Yep.
it'll be good.
I think
Okay.
that way there's no stepping on toes and, okay, now we can move on to E.
Mm-hmm.
Assessors request for board approval. I think can we already approve a lot of this?
Was this the last meeting?
No, it wasn't. This is different. So, they're asking that we give, remote access to, who's it, Murphy?
James
James,
Murphy.
yep.
Trainer. The problem that we have is, if we allow remote services, then we have to give access to the town Lyman VPN, which connects them to our server. So if we're doing that on somebody's personal device, we have no idea if their device has been compromised, we can't control that.
Yep.
So the IT contractor, they're not going to provide this service on someone's personal device due to the potential risk and liability for the town, but as well as their private business and their reputation, if something were to happen. So the solution or the recommendation is that we can loan out a town-owned device. However, we don't have any to loan out except unless the assessor was willing to maybe temporarily loan out her laptop, we could, set that up so this person could use it remotely, and then they give it back when they're done. Because using a town-owned device, we can control that. We know if it's been compromised, whatnot, we have our whole thing, we can control it. Someone's personal device, we have no control over that. You could have a virus on your computer and not know for years, and it's just sitting there collecting data.
The computer's back.
She got it.
What about his? Oh, you're using it? His?
No.
No, it's,
Oh.
it's locked up somewhere.
Yes, you could do that if you want to.
So that wouldn't shortchange Lori.
Yeah,
And we've already used it, once.
well, then use that one.
I got no problem with that. I don't, yeah. I mean,
Use your phone more than
yeah,
anything.
I live by my phone.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys-
I think it's a great.
Being data is gonna set it up.
He would feel better to have it done that way, obviously, with your,
Yeah.
yeah, he isn't totally against using, probably not thrilled about giving a town computer to a outside company.
No, he's fine with it.
Is he?
Because I guess we've done
Well, we
that
have-
historically.
Oh,
in the
okay.
past.
And I think we have a contract, right? We signed a contract with
Yep.
them as well, so it's not.
Well-
Online VPN.
Oh, yeah,
sure.
Access to
Well,
the
he's-
server.
Well, you know how secure he is,
Do you-
secure minded.
Do you need a
It's
motion?
a good thing. Yeah. You gonna go with that?
Make a motion that,
Oh, you didn't know what motion you're gonna make. I'm
Yeah.
gonna make a
I'll
motion
second.
that we approve remote access via VPN utilizing a town computer for this vendor.
Discussion. All in favor? Nice.
Should we go to the second item that you highlighted on this? Or what are we gonna do with that? The office space, you highlighted,
Lori provided that.
okay,
They can use this meeting room,
okay.
you know, and
No, it just was highlighted, I just wanna make sure,
she put the little sticky notes on there.
Yep.
So I just left them on there.
I mean, tables, chairs,
We got them.
okay,
Do we?
good.
Okay.
Next up. Yep.
So approval that you contact town council on this.
Well,
Because we just said we're gonna put it through.
yeah, and the way I did it, like the planning board did it months and months ago, but like they sent me a letter and then like I sent that to town council.
Yeah.
Okay, so they can just send me their inquiry.
Right.
And I'll send that to Brad.
Yeah, I think as long as
Oh,
it funnels
that's
through you,
perfect.
so we have the documentation.
and you can send it to us in real time.
that's perfect. She can decipher at that point, MMA.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We actually already went through MMA.
Yeah.
So we did that route, and MMA had suggested they go through.
All right, next is G, review, approve key policy for lockbox.
I don't know about any of you, and it has to do with those the cameras. I received a lot of comments about having video and audio. I did speak with Mr. Beanie, and he assured us that nobody is listening, reviewing, unless there's an incident.
Mhm.
It takes 3 months worth, like you said.
Yes.
3 months, and it just erases.
I just have to ask, why is it an issue when you can go to a gas station and you're being monitored there?
I think some people might have thought that it was a little.
But you understand, we're not at the capacity to do that, right? Like, we don't have anyone available to sit on
I
station.
do, but
Can-
if a person has a concern, I think we should just address it.
Can we be clear, and I just want for my own clarity, these are only in public hallways. This isn't in private offices, this isn't in restrooms, this isn't in the vault. It's literally in one public space.
But I do want to point out, this protects employees.
Correct. That was gonna be my next
Someone
thing.
comes to my office and starts threatening me. That's added protection for me. The camera's not gonna see it. But, so it's a huge source of protection for your employees.
Since he doesn't use your office at the time, you have time, date stamp and stuff, they're, so coming in and coming out, there's an incident.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as it sits right now, Bean Data is the only one that has access to that information,
And the FOIA officer.
or the FOIA, excuse me, and the FOIA officer. Wasn't at the meeting. No, but, so, none of us can, it's not a listening device for employees, it's just employee protection. We've had, and when we discussed this, when I first came on board here, we had an incident in the CEO's office, which we had no record of. We had a witness, but we had no record of.
Mhm.
And I think that's what, brought us down that road.
Yeah.
And with these First Amendment folks, if that was ever to happen, we'd have documentation. That's when we would, kick that in.
And it's
So-
the case at a lot of public places and institutions. That's what we have in public areas. And it's helped in numerous things at the university. And again, I also don't have the time or care to go back and watch all of that, but it's been helpful in those moments that we've needed it for a variety of different things.
I would be willing to come in to speak to any employee.
Actually, I mean, to my knowledge, and I sent out that email, I got good feedback from it.
Mhm.
People aren't unhappy with it unless.
You sent that out after,
Yeah.
after, so
Yeah.
I was just bringing it to the board,
Mhm.
that's all.
Fair.
Okay,
Thank you.
if there is a problem, if somebody wants to speak with me.
Can I just say that I think some of the angst about that is that none of the employees were told, and all of a sudden they realized this is audio right up over my door. And
Right.
none of this was said until after it was, why?
Yeah.
I mean, if you live under recording 8 hours a day,
Yeah,
I mean, it
That's
sounds
fair.
like it's not a big deal, but it certainly is a big deal if you don't understand any of the information that just came out.
Yeah.
that's a different story.
That's a whole different story.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first one to admit, I was one of the ones that said, what is this?
Yeah.
Well,
But why didn't you ask? I mean, did you
I thought
think to come forward and ask a board member?
I did.
Okay.
I asked a board member, because all of a sudden it was there, and of course, the word spread very quickly that, and it's not that there's anything going on that I wouldn't want any of you to know about and ask me about. But being recorded 8 hours a day is a little unnerving.
Yep.
It really is. If it's not being monitored, if it's only used if there's an incident, it makes it all different.
Yeah.
We didn't, like, is it something that's gonna pick up clear across the room, or is it something you're gonna be right underneath?
Yeah.
It was a little unnerving.
No, it's good feedback about the communication piece too, because that's important. Like I don't know what type of communication happened as far as like, hey, these are being installed and this is, I think that's just an opportunity for improvement potentially.
I don't think it was any communication. It was just, like I said, all of a sudden, it went right through the whole building.
Right.
So we talked about it when they got installed. I said, hey, your cameras are installed and they record audio and video. And everyone was like, cool.
That isn't what I heard, but that's okay.
All right, well, yeah, I thought we had discussed that we were telling the employees, and then we were posting signs, but if it didn't happen that way, and apologize, and now with the clarification, does that help?
It absolutely did.
Right.
I mean, I'm not in the office all day, every day, so
Yeah.
maybe when word went around, I just wasn't there. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I mean, I heard it from other employees.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
this is audio, it's not just video. And, I'm going to admit, it was unnerving.
No, it's good feedback.
Just remember though, it's funny when you're talking about a product, and all of a sudden your phone shows it to you. Next
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
right? So
You
you
got
no one
your
should be
phone.
shocked.
You
Your
whisper,
Yeah.
TV hears you.
and you're,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think if you think it now too, just saying. There's been a couple things that pop up that are in my brain.
My
No,
new
but-
office, there's cameras in the kitchen, pointing down the hallway, pointing down the other hallway. I don't even think twice about it. It doesn't, we put a white noise thing outside my office if I need to. But it's, you're living life live everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And you are, Lindsay's point that, the gas station, I'm not an employee at the gas station, I'm not there 8 hours a day.
I look at it as safety, honestly, I really do, because anyone can walk in my building.
Yeah, and that's the reason we're, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you're behind.
Okay.
All right.
So,
It wasn't really about that. This was about a lockbox. So we got the lockbox installed. We need to put a master key in there because the cleaning ladies are not cleaning the rooms. They don't have any access. And that policy.
Uh-huh.
and so this covers until a town manager or interim town manager is identified that the board would be the individuals to approve that. So we're covered in the interim now.
All the keys would go into the vault, I guess where they've been in there before, then we'd have a master key. So anyone who needs access to the vault would just have access to that master key, because that master key opens the vault.
So what do the cleaning ladies have access to?
All the rooms. The master key has access to all of it.
But
need an
you need a
additional
punch code to get into the vault also,
Yeah, you need a
besides
code
just the
to
key.
Double.
Okay,
So
so
they
the
don't have
cleaning
access
ladies
to the
won't have the
vault.
vault. Okay, I'm like,
Where
whoa,
you go with
whoa.
Yeah.
And obviously, if there's like, somebody doesn't want them to clean their room, you just let them know, don't go into this office.
I think it's pretty good.
It can always be amended if we need
Yeah.
to, based on, once we adopt, and if something weird, it's always something weird, right? I make a motion that we approve the access key policy as submitted.
Second.
And my discussion will be it's Lori's key we're putting in there.
Yeah, well, then all the keys go in the vault.
Right,
There's
but I'm
one
just,
master key, so like employees, if I need to get involved, then I gotta have a code. Cause that whole thing with the lockbox, like, gives you a tracking of who's checking in,
Can the lockbox work without this?
then you can't track it.
It doesn't track the pit, like a,
No, it tracks the cell phone.
so what if I'm just playing devil's advocate here. What if I don't have one?
Don't have a cell phone?
Yeah, or I don't remember it, or,
You can use a primary code, but someone, generally, I guess the way, like, when I read reviews about it, like, you'll have a primary code as a backup
mm-hmm,
in case, like, nobody can access it via this method. This is just for tracking, like,
Does,
And you're on camera too.
yeah,
So the people wouldn't have the access code. They would call whomever to say, hey, I don't have my,
Right,
my
yeah, you
phone,
call the town manager.
and therefore you'd
Yeah.
know, or somebody would know,
Yeah.
that you gave that access code out.
and then you would probably change it after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have it through like a software or something to change it? Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I have key
Yeah.
boxes at work that do the same thing. We just, it's different, obviously, but I just want to make sure we're thinking it through, that's all. Because originally, I'm just gonna say ours were fingerprint, and people thought we were stealing their identities, so we're not doing that here.
So is this in here to be signed or?
So that was discussion, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor? All right.
Another one from the completed list.
And this
Oh, these are gravy. Here we go.
PO for Jim Thomas.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. And we already did the last one.
Start signing.
On new business, can we talk about,
What you were gonna talk about earlier?
Yeah.
That he knew what you knew?
yeah,
Yeah.
Can I do one thing first?
oh, absolutely.
I just, can I make a motion that we could, can we put an IT committee together?
Do we need a motion if that's in the charter that we have to do it?
Is it?
Yeah, it's in
Yeah.
the new charter starting July 1.
I mean, I'm happy to entertain your motion.
Well, thank you.
I'll even second it.
Perfect. Well, I mean, are we gonna wait until, I'd like to see one prior to.
Mhm.
Because, everything that's happening with Bugging and Kenny Bunkport and Kenny Bunkpond.
Wow.
Oh, don't wish that.
All in Kenny Bunkport, Kenny Bunkpond,
Yeah.
whatever, everything's gonna integrate. So I'd like to see it happen sooner than later.
Mhm.
So you second it?
I did.
Anybody?
He's the chair.
Any discussion?
He's trying to
Sign on
sign.
with you.
Would you like to just switch this over there?
He's busy.
All in favor?
Can we look, yeah, I'm sorry. And we can look at the charter and just see how many people.
So it doesn't say
Thank
in
you,
the charter. The charter for July 1 says the town manager writes up the statement of purpose for that committee.
Okay.
And so then you guys electing the committee, please tell me what the purpose is.
Oh, well, since he's right on the forefront, let him write it
To
out.
explain to me.
To help Dave with his spreadsheets.
We'll talk all day long.
Yeah.
Could, maybe we could draft that for next meeting.
Yeah.
You and me, the people that made and seconded the motion. Does that work?
You're so well,
I'll
you're,
put my thoughts together.
yeah, you're so
I'll make
well
'em
versed
fancy.
on computers. You're such a whiz.
Sorry. Oh, well, they would down there. Okay.
Okay, now,
Now
John,
you wanted to
Yeah,
say, sorry.
And I've thought too much about other shit, I mean, Brad, the original request was a GoFundMe page for memorial bench in Morris's name at the library, is that?
Yes.
All right, there's my motion. Now, what would our role be in that? Approving?
There'll have to be a document drafted up, Jeanette and I were talking about it today,
Okay,
that will say that it's either, and she didn't remember the terminology, there's two different ways to do it. One would be an in and an out. An out would be, let's assume we appropriate and we get $6,000 and the bench only costs $4,000. What happens to the extra $2,000? If it's an in form that's written up, that money sits there for life. If it's an out, that money can go to a specific cause. Now, because Morris's request was funding or donations to the fire department or to Curtis Lake Church, I'd like to see the funding go to the fire department.
yeah, so we could write it that
So
way.
that's the way it would be written up. The 5 of you would approve it and it would be gospel.
Would it be on,
What's that?
would it be on next year's budget?
This will happen right now. It'll be a
This'll-
GoFundMe.
It'll be a
It's a GoFundMe.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be on our website, on the town's website?
It will be a GoFundMe site.
It'll be a link.
Anyone can share the link.
Yes, there'll be a link.
Okay,
And the money will come directly here, made out to Town of Lyman, Jeanette would put it through a specific
Like a
category
gift fund.
through our bank account. Then is no indexing.
Yep.
Typically, if you did it personally, it would go to your personal account.
Yep.
Yeah.
But in this case, it would go right to
The gift
our
account.
funding,
Yep.
our bank, and then whatever the bench costs, a check is written out of that to
Yep.
pay for the bench, and then a check is written directly to Goodwin's Mills Fire Department for the balance, and the account is closed.
Please don't make me repeat that motion,
Or what I just said.
or whatever Brad said.
So we need a second.
So the only
I'll
town
second.
involvement would be administration.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Dave seconded. Any discussion?
Like a time frame on how long, when would you start collecting, or would it?
As soon as I can get a quote on roughly what it would cost, because you need the GoFundMe page, you have to have some kind of an
Yeah.
amount for a goal.
Yeah.
Right, and if it exceeds it, the GoFundMe page could actually say balance will be
Yep.
donated to the fire department account.
Perfect.
That way you're saying where the money is going, because if I know somebody would say, well, geez, you got $12,000 here, the bench only costs $4, would you do the other 8?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This way you spell it out right up front.
Yep.
Where the balance is going.
But do you have a, like, it starts March 29th and it ends,
Typically, you have a start and an ending date.
okay.
Right. So I'll reach out to a couple of grant companies tomorrow and get some rough ideas. I mean, I know that the engraving is where the big expense is. The granite is a pretty cut and dry, one bench stone and 2 pillars to sit it on, but it's the
Yeah, we're
engraving.
seconded. Yeah, we
That's
have
what it would cost,
wait
that's
for the
the bigger
discussion.
expense.
Yeah.
So I'll get some ideas at least and then we can talk about it.
The picture he had up on his service, did you see it?
Yeah.
It was a good picture.
Yeah.
Literally, that was-
Yeah, it was a great.
Were you
picture.
there? I went. I didn't- oh, yeah.
That was up to right.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
it was probably the most moving
It was,
celebration,
for sure.
you know?
Yeah.
It was so
There
well
weren't
done.
many dry eyes, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Can I, all in favor before we get too far off that? Okay.
Thank you.
That's not what I thought you were gonna do, but
I'm sorry.
I didn't, when you were talking with back and forth, what I was gonna bring up is, there's been emails that have gone around to us, and I've had phone calls about we've already dedicated the town report
Yeah.
to the cemetery, but I think we should put a
In
memorandum.
memoriam.
There it is, memoriam.
And there's a nice one that was written.
On the back cover,
Yeah, I'll get that.
yeah,
I've got that.
yeah, that.
So include that in the town report?
Yeah, now, the other thing you've got to do, you've got to decide
in
who's writing
memoriam
up the
page.
cemetery committee.
Yeah.
Because you've got to, now that you've decided you're going to do that, somebody gets that job.
Get writing.
Don't look at me.
I didn't
Yeah,
So an
whose
RFP.
idea was that?
So are you.
How long do we have to do it? We have a little bit. April 1st, it has to be done?
Yeah, I wanna get to the pictures and I'll help out with it.
You guys are allowed to.
I'm on vacation.
Next year.
I'm out. Sorry, folks. I'm not writing that from St. Martin.
Oh, you want to see where?
So do we need a motion for that, or is it just, no, okay. So I think that takes care of it, what else.
Maybe
Yep.
I'll try to.
I'll make sure that's,
All right, so you want,
yeah.
all right, I'll get that to Laurie. I'm sorry.
Lindsay?
To Lindsay. And you can just blast it out to the rest of them and see if they like it. Does that make sense?
I'm sure it's fine.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Okay.
So I sent an email in suggesting that the building expansion be dedicated to Morris. I was just wondering, did you all see that?
I think I saw
don't know
that
where
too.
the emails go.
Yeah, no, I saw it too.
Yep.
I think it was one of the many things that were mentioned.
Yep.
We're definitely.
Okay, these were all on one side, no tricky hide.
I'm sure it'll take,
Consideration.
absolutely, it'll take them into consideration. When
And I have got to
he gets going
go
on,
on.
the building and, yeah. And I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at both of you. But it was a good suggestion, yes.
Do you miss one?
I don't care.
Yeah, because it's something out there. In the hallway,
Yeah, but
with
you-
dedication.
We don't
You
even
were
have to
saying?
do those legally.
All right, yeah. You like? All right, she likes.
Too high.
9:00.
She likes.
What's that? Yes.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? John?
I'm hitting you all up really quick. I need a signature. Budget committee. Okay, simple.
Got you.
Holy cow.
Almost up my 25.
This is gonna be this late tomorrow too. I know it. I know it.